Central Time. So we're going to get started. If you went to the original orientation session about all of the programs, this first part of this lecture is going to be review. This is mainly for individuals that did not make it to that original orientation session. However, don't make sure you stick around, because after we go through this review information, some of the mentors from Pine Bio are going to discuss in more detail some of the stuff you need to know about your courses. So thank you all for coming. Welcome to the orientation for getting started with bioinformatics. Many of you will also hear this being called Introduction to Bioinformatics. It's the same thing, just a different name. Today, I'm going to give you an overview about some of the information and some of the programs that you'll need to register on in order to take part in the training module that you signed up for. So I do want to clarify before we get started that this is directed at and funded by Biomed, as well as LBRN. So for those of you that aren't familiar with those particular programs, LBRN is the Louisiana Biotechnical Research Group that joins all of the universities, or at least a majority of Louisiana universities, together in an attempt to further the research across Louisiana through communication and collaborative work. So I'd like to thank them for funding a variety of individuals that are taking these training modules, as well as Biomed, which is the Division of Biotechnology and Molecular Medicine, which in essence is a group of a variety of cores that are designed to provide tools and mentorship and resources to individuals, whether that be students or faculty in the field of research across primarily LSU, but they do provide services to a variety of outside individuals as well. I'll talk about some of those services later in this presentation. And again, if you were at the original orientation, you may have heard some of this stuff. Okay, so to get started, what exactly are the goal of these training modules? So particularly getting started with bioinformatics is one of the three being offered. And the big pushes for these training modules is one, that they're completely asynchronous. A lot of people, especially as they get more and more into research, all of you are aware that our schedules get very busy. And so the goal is to provide a variety of resources, whether that be in the form of recorded lectures or available asynchronous courses or assignments, available to you that can fit your schedule. Because like I said, everyone has very busy schedules, especially the more responsibilities we take on in research, correct? So that is one of the big things about this training module that can appeal to you. Additionally, one of the resources that is available through this training module are a variety of mentor-led lectures. So the purpose of these training programs isn't just to provide you with the resources to excel, it's also to help guide you through these resources and show you how all of them are interconnected and provide a variety of advantages when you have a mentor instructing you as to what things to focus on, how to structure your thinking when you're approaching different problems, as well as how you're approaching new concepts. Because for most of us, these are going to be new concepts in bioinformatics that we may not be familiar with. Now, like I said, another tool that is going to help you through this is the online chat assistants. So there's a variety of methods that the mentors at Pine Bio will discuss at the later portion of this presentation that are going to be available to you so that you aren't out on your own. If you have a question, if you run into an issue, or if something just doesn't quite click right away, there are a variety of ways to reach out to experts who can help you with those issues. They can help you structure your thinking, help you through those problems, and help you better understand what you're learning. Additionally, to help give you more evidence that you've completed these programs and to allow you, provide you with something that could benefit your career, at the end of these training modules, specifically this one as well, you will receive a certificate of completion showing that you were trained and went through this program and successfully completed it. Now, depending on what institution you are from or how you're registering, your certificate will look a little different. So for individuals from LSU, you will have an LSU associated certificate, which I'll show you what those look like in a little bit. And then that is likely going to be signed by Dr. Gus Kasulis of the Pathobiological Sciences Department. If you're with LBRN, odds are you're going to have a certificate signed by Chris Taylor. Now, this individual hasn't been finalized, but it's likely to be him. And it'll be customized for LBRN. And then if you're an outside source, you will likely receive a certificate from Pine Bio or the OmicsLogic team themselves. So to give you an overview of some of the things some of the portals and websites that you need to register on in order to be successful in these programs, there are three primary things you need to be aware of. The first one that you need to register on, which most of you probably already have, is the OmicsLogic portal. If you haven't already registered, please make sure to do that as soon as possible. That is how we enroll you in these programs. So if you haven't registered, if you don't have an account, we can't enroll you in the program to get you started. And I'll show you what enrollment and registration on that website looks like in a little bit here. Next one that you need to be aware of, and Odessi just put the link in the chat. If you haven't registered, you can go ahead and go to that link. If you register on OmicsLogic, you will also be linked automatically to a Bioinfo platform account. So once you start the program, you should be able to use the same login information to get into the Bioinfo platform. And this platform is essentially designed so that you can input data that you receive from various omics studies, and then create a pipeline or a flow chart, in a sense, of different analysis steps to get your desired outcome. And you'll learn all about this platform whenever you go through these training modules, but just be aware that you will be using this platform as well. Additionally, if you're taking more of a coding advanced, coding related training module, which all three will have some aspects of coding that you will be familiarized with, you'll encounter what is known as a Python and R coding playground, which are integrated into the lessons. And this is essentially means that you can code within the browser. You do not have to create your own coding environment, at least not for this particular training module. So getting started with bioinformatics is a beginner difficulty level training module. This is designed for individuals that have no background or minimal background in biological or data science fields. If you are new to this, if you're not familiar with data science or you're not familiar with bioinformatics, this will help structure your mindset so you can learn and hopefully take the more advanced courses or learn more, how to integrate this information into your own work. It's basically to situate your mind so that you can better understand these fields and how they could be applied to you. I'm not going to talk about the other two difficulty levels because those are focused in other training models. So you're all here for getting started with bioinformatics. You're aware of the orientation. If you have already completed all of your registration steps, you should have full access to all the platforms. And you're going to see access on your OmicsLogic profile. If you do not see a badge or your program added, can we change? So just to address the question, can we change your difficulty during the course? So the difficulty refers to the entirety of the course. So this is an introductory training module. So the goal is to be relatively easy for new individuals to learn and understand the concepts. If you are also, if you also intend to be enrolled in the other training modules that are being offered, those are more advanced difficulty levels. So if you go to those orientations as well, I'll go over that a bit more. But on getting started with bioinformatics, like I said, if you have already registered, you should have access available to you. If you are registering now, you should have access within the next day or so. Now, what exactly is this training module? This training module is to introduce you to all things bioinformatics and all things data science. You're going to cover a lot of different topics. Here are just some of them that I'm listing. Now, to give you an idea, you're going to talk about concepts and applications of bioinformatics. How can bioinformatics be applied to your field? How can it be applied to a variety of fields you may not have thought of? And how is data science integrated into a lot of fields outside of the biological world? Because data science isn't just for biology. It's used in a variety of applications and fields. What about the subset types of bioinformatics? You're going to learn about genomics. You're going to learn about the basics of genomics, including DNA variants, mutations, and how those DNA variants and mutations are actually interpreted and analyzed using omics platforms. Same thing with transcriptomics. You're going to learn about differential gene expression. You're going to learn about annotation and how these different processes are used to analyze transcriptomics-based studies. And as well as you're also going to learn about how machine learning is being applied to next generation analysis to help the user and help the researcher better interpret the data that's in front of them and to help them find things that are more of interest to the problems they're attempting to address. So this is, like I mentioned before, this isn't just to cover research applications. You're also going to learn how bioinformatics is applied to clinical or biotechnical problems, how it's being applied to a variety of issues that you may not be indirectly associated with, but are impacting you in some way or another. You're also going to have access to a variety of case study-based projects. So you're going to learn how this information is applied through examples as well. We're not going to just discuss conceptually that it's used in this or that. It's also going to be shown with direct examples of here's how they use this particular bioinformatics analysis to analyze this particular example. And there's a variety of projects that you'll be able to go through to see the different applications. So this is the finalized syllabus for this training module. For those of you that have attempted to enroll for more the other two advanced training modules, you should have received an email saying that you have to complete this first. So these are the dates that the lectures will be released. However, you have access to all of the additional online resources at this time. You can go through and see under each date where those are at, and I'll show you in a moment. But you do not have to wait for these lectures to come out before you can re-register for the other modules. Now, if you're not aware of what I'm talking about, it's okay. This doesn't apply to you. Okay, so here's some of the things I mentioned that this training module is going to cover. You're going to have 6 sessions, which you just saw the syllabus for. This is targeted to beginners or entry-level individuals that don't have a lot of background in this field. You're going to learn a little bit about Python and R and how they're utilized in omics fields. You're going to learn some statistics, so and how those can be interpreted in the coding languages themselves, as well as, like I mentioned, AI and machine learning and how they're applied to next generation sequencing projects. And at the end, you'll receive a certificate to prove that you completed the course successfully and you learned everything that was taught in the course. So going back to what I mentioned about who is funding this program through Biomed and GeneLab, here are some additional resources that those funding sources can provide to you as a researcher if you're associated with these institutions. So in particular, LSU GeneLab, which is located in the PBS department at Louisiana State University, is available to everyone within the LSU and LBRN networks, with the goal of providing both consulting as well as experimental services. So Thea, who works in the Gene Lab and is the primary manager there, is an expert in a variety of sequencing and next generation sequencing techniques, as well as different PCR techniques, gel imaging, multiplex protein analysis, cell counting, and more. So those are just some of the provided services. And if you are interested in utilizing the expertise at Gene Lab to improve your research and further your research, you can contact them at their direct website. Additionally, if you're with LBRN, there is the Bioinformatics, Biostatistics, and Computational Biology Core, which is designed to provide consulting and mentorship, as well as training in bioinformatics to their associated universities. Their whole purpose of this core is to, like I mentioned in the very beginning, is to facilitate better research through collaboration and mentoring. So definitely reach out if you're interested in learning more about bioinformatics and you're interested in having a mentor to help you through the steps. This isn't just, this is primarily directed at PIs and faculty members at the advanced level, so keep that in mind as well. As you go through these programs, you may decide that you want to partake in something more impactful to your career in the sense of a presentation or a poster. And you can do that. This particular training module isn't directed towards a project at the end, but if you progress through this training module and you decide that this is something you would like to further follow up on, there are other training modules and built-in processes that will allow you to start a project that you can work towards throughout the semester or the time frame that you are associated with, and then finalize something that is presentation or poster ready at the end so that you can present it at a conference. And one of those conferences is the annual LBRN conference on computational biology and bioinformatics. This is usually in April, so the springtime. So the date hasn't been finalized for the conference, but it is something to keep in mind if you're interested in something like that. As well, like I mentioned, there are additional programs and training modules provided through Pine Biotech and through this OmicsLogic platform. So if you're interested, you can find those programs on the OmicsLogic platform, or you can contact Ilya Brodsky for more information on Ilya at pine.bio. And if you would like to associate some of these programs at your own institution, you should also contact Ilya Brodsky for more information. So if you're interested, like I mentioned, training module access has already begun for those that have completed registration, and your training module access will end on December 31st. So now I'm going to go ahead and go through, and I'm going to have to stop sharing for a moment, but I'm going to show you the registration steps. So the first thing you need to do, if you haven't done this already, is go to learn.omicslogic.com. Once you go here, this is the primary platform you're going to utilize to access your courses, your lessons, and all the information within this training module. And once you get to this page, all you have to do is click on register for free. It should be front and center here below this information. Now, once this loads, if you don't already have an account, you'll have to go through the sign up process, which is very simple. All you have to do is enter your email and a little bit of information. It wants to load here for us. Here we go. So if you don't have an account already, just click on this little create an account. It'll change how this window looks from sign in to sign up, and it'll have one or two extra boxes to fill in some information like your name, your email, and then the password you would like to use. Once you, but since I have already done that, once you make your account, make sure you sign in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Make sure you hit sign in once you've entered your information, and it'll take you to a page like this. Now, I recommend for the easiest interaction with everything, if you're looking for the programs you've signed up for, to click on your profile name. So it'll say here, it'll list your email. Welcome back. Click on that, and it'll take you to your profile. This is what your profile should look like. You may not have a description here, but you're welcome to add one in, and you're also welcome to link any of your socials to your account. This is down here, you'll see your level. Most of you that are starting fresh will be beginner, and you shouldn't have many points. To get points, all you have to do is complete asynchronous courses and complete the program steps that you're working with. Now, once you're added to a program, once you have been put in the program, you've completed registration, you should see the badge come up down here. So for today, we're talking about getting started with bioinformatics, which is listed as Introduction to Bioinformatics. You should see this badge here, and you can click on this link to go to your program's syllabus, which will look a little different now that you're registered in the program. However, I'm not going to click on there just yet because I do want to show you the rest of the features on your OmicsLogic profile that you're going to utilize throughout the training module. So like I mentioned, you will have asynchronous courses, which once you start a course and you have completed any aspect of that course, whether it's the first part of a lesson or the first lesson or what have you, you'll see it show up here, and it'll show you the percentage that you've completed. You can see here I've completed Python course 1, and that there's a certificate associated with each individual course. Now, this certificate will look a little different once you've completed your program, but you'll receive something very similar. It'll look something like this. And like I mentioned, though, it'll be customized to the institution you're coming from. So if you're LSU, it'll look a little different. LBRN, it'll look a little different. And the individual that signs this here for you will also be different. So for example, LSU, you'd have Dr. Gus Kasulis here. LBRN, you're likely to have Dr. Chris Taylor, and so on and so forth. This is kind of what your certificate will look like once you've completed the training one. Now, like I mentioned, there's also another way to access your programs. Once you've been added to the program, you can go to your profile page, you can click on programs, and your program should come up here. And it'll also show you how many of the components of each lecture have been completed. So today was the first lecture for Introduction to Bioinformatics, and it became available. I'm going to go ahead and open a new tab so we can come back here in a moment. So once you click on your badge or the tab of the program tab, and you go to this link, this is your syllabus for your program. Now, if you have come to this link before and you haven't been registered, you won't see some of the additional information that pops up. But now that you're registered, you'll see some of the courses, the additional online resources and the asynchronous courses that are associated with the lecture, as well as the ability to complete the lecture. So this is what the page looks like. you'll see your profile information pop up here. If this doesn't pop up here, then you probably haven't been added to the training program correctly, and you'll need to address that. But you can see here, here's today's lesson. Here's the additional resources, which for those of you that want to complete the information beforehand to get into the more advanced training models, here's where you're going to find what you need to access. So you got to complete all of these before you can be added to the other lesson plan. And then once you've completed everything in this particular lesson, you have to go here and you have to hit complete lesson for it to be tagged as complete. And once you complete all of the lessons associated with that, you'll get the certificate for the program. Okay, so that is how you register for OmicsLogic, and I'm going to quickly go through how to do iLab registration. So for individuals that are from LSU or LBRN, you have to also register through iLab. That's how we keep track of who is registered through our system. So go to my.ilabsolutions.com, and it should directly reroute you to the login page. This is what your login page will look like. Now, I'm not going to sign in here for you. I already have signed in, but once you've created an iLab account, make sure you put your information here. And once you have done so, you'll come to a page like this. Okay. So to register on iLab, the first thing you need to do is come up here in the top left corner and click on Core Facilities. It should load you into this screen. If it doesn't, you may have to change your view here to other institutions. So if you're not with LSU directly, this might not show up right away. Change to try either partnered institutions or other institutions, and it should come up. We're looking for Cedar Core Facilities and Services with Thea. So you're going to click on that. And it'll take you to this particular page. And the top right of this page, you're going to want to click on Request Services because you're requesting to take part in these training modules. Once you have done that, you're going to click on this button right here, Training Service. I'm sorry, Request Service across from the training module. So make sure it's the button across from training modules. You may have to open this drop-down menu up to see it. So I have to stop sharing here for a moment because it's going to share information about this user that does not need to be broadcast, but you're going to click on that button. And then I'll show you there's only 2 other steps you have to do. Okay. So this is what your page should look like now. All you have to do now is find this box here across from the red star and type in which courses you'd like to take part in, which training module. So this in case would be getting started with bioinformatics, right? Once you've done that, you scroll down here. And if you're with LSU or LBRN, you're going to type that in here. So I'm with LSU, so I'll type LSU. This is the fund number box. Then you hit submit request to core. If like I said, if you're not LSU or you're not LBRN, if you're an outside source, you do not have to do this step. All you have to do is register on the OmicsLogic back here, and then contact me directly to have you added to the training model. If you don't want to contact me directly, you can also go to this link for the program you're interested in. And when you're not registered, you won't see this pop up. And if you scroll down, there should be pricing around here. But because I'm already registered, it doesn't show me that information. Okay, so that is all from my end. I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to some of the mentors at Pine Bio. If you have any questions, you can contact me at lyutzy1@lsu.edu, and I'll put that information in the chat.
Great.